Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the City of Charlotte's World Day of Remembrance for Road Traffic Victims event. My name is Debbie Smith, and I am the City of Charlotte Department of Transportation Director. And I extend my condolences to all the families in our city who have lost loved ones due to traffic violence. Today, we will make sure that they are not forgotten and that their legacy lives on through all of us in our respective roles as we work to make our streets safer. 205. That is the number of lives lost on Charlotte streets due to traffic violence from 2019 to 2021. The shoes you see behind us that are displayed here today represent each of those precious lives. The World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims is a high-profile global event to remember the many millions who have been killed and seriously injured on the world's roads, and to acknowledge the suffering of all affected victims, families, and communities. Millions added each year to countless millions already suffering. A truly tremendous cumulative toll. It is commemorated on the third Sunday of November each year. The first event was held in 1995 in Europe. And in 2005, the United Nations adopted World Day of Remembrance as the appropriate acknowledgement for victims of road traffic crashes and their families. Today, World Day of Remembrance commemorated all across the continents, not only by those advocating for road safety and road victims, but also by the governments and related stakeholders. Families for Safe Streets brought the event to the U.S. and has now joined with the Vision Zero Network, the Road to Zero Coalition, and It Could Be Me to support these World Day of Remembrance events in their community. In 2021, there were more than 35 events held in the U.S., and interest is growing. And this year's event is especially important because traffic deaths are rising dramatically in the U.S., and it is far outpacing other high-income nations. And we have the opportunity to make real change with heightened commitment at the federal level, including more funds for safety, including Vision Zero. So across the globe, World Day of Remembrance efforts share the overarching goal: remember, support, and act. Remember those killed and seriously injured in crashes. Support those personally impacted. Act by advocating and implementing evidence-based actions to end this crisis on our roadways. Safe streets save lives, and today we ask you to help us in saving lives, in particular for our very vulnerable road users who travel our streets as pedestrians and bicyclists. We ask you to put yourselves in their shoes. Always drive the safe speed, and that may mean the speed limit. There are times when the speed limit is too fast. Always drive without distractions or under the influence of substances. The Charlotte Department of Transportation leads the effort in implementing the Vision Zero Action Plan, a data-driven approach to traffic safety that focuses public dollars on areas that statistically create the most benefit, but that is in collaboration with our outstanding task force members and partners. And with them, we focus on education, enforcement, and engineering projects like sidewalks, crosswalks, bike lanes, and better street lighting to make this vision a reality. Our Vision Zero Task Force has over 60 members with representatives from public health, transportation, police, fire, medic, policymakers, and our community advocates. We could not do this important work alone. Our streets are our responsibility, and we must learn to collaborate to be able to continue to make strides to reach 0 deaths due to this traffic violence. I sincerely thank our task force members, several of here today, as they support us, and together we do this important work. So today I would like to especially thank North Carolina Families for Safe Streets, Sustain Charlotte for leading our walking tour today, the Girl Scouts who volunteered by creating the beautiful yellow flowers for the pinning and setting up the shoe display, Housing and Neighborhood Services, Charlotte Communication and Marketing, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. We absolutely work hand in hand with CMPD when it comes to traffic safety, the data we use to determine the appropriate steps in addressing traffic safety in our city. So now I have the honor to introduce Chief Johnny Jennings to share remarks. Chief, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. What an honor it is to be here and be able to speak here today on this World Day of Remembrance event. I certainly appreciate our partnership that we have with CDOT, and as we make every single effort possible to make our streets as safe as we can make them here in Charlotte. I'm also someone, you're standing here before you, who has seen tragedy with some very close people very close to me who have died as a result of traffic collisions. And I can tell you it is the most instantaneous change of your life that you can possibly imagine. So as we sit and speak today, and as we talk about how fortunate we are to be here to stand in front of you, let's always remember those loved ones that have been lost due to traffic accidents and traffic fatalities. So we also want to make sure that we reflect on Vision Zero's goal. Their goal, Vision Zero's goal, is to have 0 traffic fatalities. That may seem a little lofty, but it's a goal that definitely is worth going for and striving for. And if we can get close to that, if we can keep 1 additional fatality from occurring, then we've accomplished some really good things with what the efforts that we're putting forth. So I want to make sure we know that also Charlotte is rapidly growing. Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And as we grow, that means more pedestrian foot traffic, more bicycles, more scooters, more vehicles on the roadway. So as we continue to grow, we need to make sure that we're continuing to make our streets safer, and that we are tracking our fatalities, we're tracking the vehicle accidents that we're seeing across our city, and that we're putting up things in place to make sure that we make those areas safer as we identify the ones that are the most dangerous. You know, there are a lot of things that we do within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department to try and keep our streets safer, including the real-time crime center that monitors our cameras, our traffic cameras, that we're able to see and identify locations that might be of an issue, and we're able to deploy our resources to those locations to make sure that we're trying to make them as safe as possible. We want to be there before the accident happens, and we want to be able to make sure that it doesn't happen if we see that it's leading in that direction. You know, our CMPD traffic unit, we conduct weekly meetings where we're constantly going and looking at areas where we are seeing that we need to deploy our traffic units to. And we want to be in those areas, and we want to make sure they're as safe as they can be as well. Our DWI task force that also works very hard to make sure that Those people who choose to drink and drive are taken off the streets as quickly as possible so that they can't endanger the lives of other people who are innocently driving. Alcohol-related deaths are something that's very real in Charlotte and something that we really need to continue to work and strive to eliminate within our community. You know, our roadways are only as safe as people make them. We have to depend on the drivers every single day to make sure they're also helping us to keep our roads safe. As you heard Debbie earlier say, the talk about driving the speed limit. Sometimes the speed limit's even too fast for conditions. So each of us that gets in a 2,000-pound vehicle and drives to our destination has a responsibility to make sure that we keep our community safe and keep our roadways safe, and so that tragedy never strikes your family as we continue to be able to go about our business within our streets of Charlotte and to be able to do that safely. So again, thank you so much for having me, and I hope that we will all take a moment to reflect on the many lives that have been lost within the streets of Charlotte and across our country as well. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to express first my sincere condolences to all who have lost a loved one due to traffic violence on our streets. As we gather to remember and honor our family members, friends, and neighbors who have lost their lives, we look for hope amidst the tragedies. At Sustain Charlotte, we mobilize residents to advocate for the policies, money, and political will required to make our streets safer. We also partner with the city and are honored to have served on the city's Vision Zero Action Plan Task Force since its inception. In our conversations with Charlotte residents who are supportive but skeptical about whether the goal of 0 deaths and serious injuries is a feasible target, we tell them every life matters and 0 is the only acceptable goal. Too often we hear about multiple priorities for our streets, but the word priority was never meant to have a plural form. By definition, a priority is a thing that is more important than any other. So today we call on our city leaders and residents to make safety the priority for Charlotte streets. Not speed, not convenience, not the absence of traffic congestion. Ending traffic deaths requires a systemic approach that includes education, personal accountability, consistent and equitable enforcement of traffic laws, and above all, streets designed for safety. However, for most of our history, our streets have not been designed with safety as the priority. We still face the tragic legacy of more than a half-century of street design that prioritized the speed and convenience of drivers over the safety and lives of all people who use our streets. Most of Charlotte's streets are still designed to move as many cars as possible in the least amount of time. So when crashes occur on these streets designed for speed, the results are all too often fatal. Because most of Charlotte's road network was built during the golden age of the automobile, it's neither cheap nor politically easy to redesign the streets for the safety of all who use them. But never underestimate the power of your voice. As a community of advocates for safe streets, we have power to tell our local and state leaders and our neighbors that these investments matter, because the lives of our loved ones matter. Their lives matter more than speeding to a destination or running a red light to save a few minutes. And we have seen that when we stand together and ask for safer streets, progress is made. In fact, we've seen progress in making our streets safer and more equitable, especially in the last few years. Charlotte DOT has made numerous investments, including infrastructure to reduce speeding, pedestrian crossing beacons, protected bike lanes, intersection improvements to reduce unsafe vehicle turning, safer sidewalks, new lighting, and more. And just last week, voters approved record funding for pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure, as well as the Vision Zero program, thanks to resident advocacy. but so much remains to be done. We must continue to advocate, side by side, for the changes we need. So I invite you today to join us at Sustain Charlotte and use your voice to become an advocate for safer streets. I also want to invite you to join us after today's event for a short walking tour to see some of the recent investments that have been made to make our streets safer, including one that was the result of resident advocacy, and to envision a city in which everyone can safely get to the places they need and want to go. Thank you so much for being here today. And now I'd like to invite Melissa also to the stage.
Good morning. My name's Melissa and I'm from Rockwell, North Carolina. My daughter, Officer Kara Alsop, was killed in a car accident due to someone not paying attention. I spoke with her 20 minutes before the accident. She had the accident at 12/9/20 at 7:20 in the morning and was on life support till 12/12/20. At 2:21 when I had to call the time of death. When I saw my daughter, she didn't look the same. I wasn't allowed to spend too much time with her due to COVID. But while I was at the hospital, I kept asking for signs. And her brain pressure would keep going up, and that let me know that she wasn't with me anymore. I brought her into this world, and I had to take her out of this world. Ever since then, I've been so numb. I know you're here.
It's okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Breathe. Breathe.
This is my son, by the way. Kara left behind me, her mother, her stepdad, her brother, niece and nephew, grandparents, and a great-grandmother that passed away August 2021. Aunts, uncles, cousins, police family, and a lot of friends. Who was Kara? Kara was a beautiful 25-year-old that lost her life too soon. She had a heart of gold and would do anything for a complete stranger. She had a bright future ahead of her. She was very family-oriented. We had a lot of gatherings in the summer, dancing, swimming, cookouts. She didn't see any wrong in anyone. She always seen the good. Kara was a detention officer at Rowan County Sheriff's Department in the jail. Growing up, she always wanted to be a cop. And in June 2020, her dream came true. The night before her accident, she found out that she will be starting BLET the following week. She was so happy she never got to celebrate. Growing up, Kara was an amazing child. She was on the track team, chorus for 5 years, cheerleading manager in middle school. She was very popular and loved by so many. Kara always had a smile on her face. She had a beautiful Elvis smile. And she was very photogenic, always loved to take selfies. And she loved her music. Kane Brown, Kirk Franklin, Alicia Keys, Bruno Mars, and so many more. We went to so many concerts together. Her hobbies were going to the gun range, having fun with her friends, family, grilling out her chicken and hamburgers and making her sausage dip. And last but not least, going to the beach all the time. My granddaughter, her niece Dakota, was her little sidekick. They were always together. And words from Dakota, she misses her Aunt Kara, taking selfies with her and her smile. Losing my daughter has truly changed my life. She was my best friend and my go-to person when I needed to vent or laugh. We had a lot of memories. My heart has a huge hole in it. I miss calling her every day, and I miss her calling me saying, "I love you, Ma." I miss her getting my phone and taking a bunch of selfies. The holidays that she enjoyed, July 4th and Christmas, are so hard. July is her birthday month and December is her death month. I'm so proud of the person that my daughter was and who she became in her short life. I know that she touched so many people's lives and that she is missed by so many. I have made a point this year that it was time to honor Kara the way she needs to be honored. She wasn't just a person. She was my daughter. She was a cop. And she was a hero. You ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let my son take over.
Go ahead. Hey, my name is Tyler. I'm Kara Alsop's older brother. We had some wine and really nice words come from some of the inmates at the facility that she worked as an officer at, and I'd like to just read one that stood out most than others. It says, "A few words from my friend and a co-worker from the detention center, Naomi. My dad always said that in life you come across only about 2 good people in your entire life. The only sad part is I found one of mine and lost her too soon. Officer Alsop, as she will always be a true friend to me, I always remembered her smile more than anything. And on the daily, I think about her for one reason and another. Some days it's because I miss her deeply, other days it's because I think about the things we laughed at. And some days, when it gets tough in life, I remember a few words of her advice. My favorite, after she found out I took my cheating ex back, she looked at me and said, I know you ain't that stupid. I remember her sitting on the counter in the control room giving me this look of disbelief, and we started laughing, and I was like, you're right. 2 months after she passed, I left him because he cheated again. She was right. She was one of a kind. I've never met another person who had a more radiant soul. She was amazing at her job as a law enforcement officer and was so lucky to be the one to help train and show her the way through there. I know after her first night she was going to be a great officer and had found a career for her and only had knew her for 12 hours. Of the 15 individuals I trained, she is the one and only I ever said to my superior officers, she is going to be amazing. The funniest situation was when we were struggling to walk a female inmate across a hallway. The inmate attempted to wipe a urine-soaked hand on Alsop. She squealed and was like, no, 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 and trying to struggle holding up a woman who made 4 of us while laughing at each other. The situation was moments like that at night I couldn't help but think about her. I am grateful for the time I did with her and grateful for the person she was. I'm truly a different person because of her and the impact that she had on me in my life. Kara was an awesome sister growing up. Kara was my best friend, was there during times that I had and felt like I had nobody. No matter what I did wrong, she never looked at me any type of way. She was always laughing. It was kind of hard to take her serious at any point in time because she just always had a radiant, just aurora to give off to everybody. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not having my sister here. Seeing her grandchildren growing up. She's an awesome aunt. And I just hope things, in North Carolina and Charlotte can come up with ways to where other families don't have to deal and do exactly what we're doing here today.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name's David Counter. On the afternoon of Thursday, the 23rd of December 2021, my life was changed forever. I was in the middle of some DIY when there was a knock on the door. 2 officers from Matthews Police Department had called me to tell me that my wife, Lee, had been involved in a car crash. She'd been killed instantly. It was only later that I discovered from the police crash report that the driver, who allegedly caused the wreck, had been driving his pickup truck at an estimated 87 miles per hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. Lee had been out doing some last-minute grocery shopping in preparation for a visit with friends for pre-Christmas snacks. There is no good time for tragic news like this, but Christmas is especially poignant. Lee and I met and married in Florida and had been husband and wife for 11 years. We were among the lucky few and had a perfect marriage with never a harsh word spoken. We had found the ideal place to live in North Carolina and were surrounded by incredible friends and neighbours. We had our entire lives planned out and were about to start our own business in January of this year, offering in-home care to seniors. Likewise, our retirements were mapped out. We intended to purchase a house in Europe and move closer to my roots. Like too many individuals' plans, however, none of this will happen now. Lee was an incredibly smart person, an expert at everything she turned her hand to, both in her work as a data quality manager and in her pursuit of self-improvement in mind and body. More than that, she was the most caring, giving, selfless person it has ever been my privilege to know. And yet more, she was my wife, my soulmate, and above all, my best friend. All this vanished when her life was extinguished in a moment of madness by the thoughtless acts of one individual, an all too common occurrence on our roads today. In the blink of an eye, a loving daughter, sister, sister-in-law, aunt, niece and friend to all she met was taken from us at her happiest, healthiest and most successful. Lee is especially missed by her extended family in England, who lack even a grave at which to pay their respects. I'm angry that my wife and I won't get to grow old together. I'm angry that the best of people are taken from us prematurely by the mindless acts of those whose only punishment is a cursory slap on the wrist, if and when their case even reaches a courtroom. Most of all, I'm angry that a tragedy such as this is viewed as an unavoidable side effect of our increasingly commuter-oriented and driver-centric society. But this is not a day for anger, this is a day for remembrance of those whose lives have been needlessly lost as a result of traffic violence, and a day when our thoughts turn to the loved ones who are left behind to pick up the pieces. I know only too well how hard it is to move through the grieving process, and my heart goes out to them all. Above all, on this World Day of Remembrance, we remember solemnly that we are not alone in our pain, but that it is shared by far too many. We are all brothers and sisters in a family that is born out of sadness, one in which none of us wanted to find ourselves. As we remember, so we should redouble our efforts to increase road safety and ensure that each year we display fewer and fewer pairs of shoes, until ultimately there are no fatalities to represent. This is the end goal of Vision Zero, and for those who are unaware of it, please ask any of the volunteers for further information. I'd like to finish by reading 2 poems, the first of which was read at the funerals of my closest family members, and the second of which was sent to me by a cousin. Hopefully they can give some comfort to those who have lost a loved one. The first poem is entitled, "Do Not Stand by My Grave and Weep." Do not stand by my grave and weep. I am not there, I do not sleep. I am the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints in snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. As you awake with morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the day transcending night. No, do not stand by my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. The second is entitled simply, She is Gone. You can shed tears that she is gone, or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. Thank you.
So now I would like to read a poem sent in by Miss Kevia Frisbee in honor of her son Markel. And this poem was prepared by Markel's mom and family. Love lives on. Those we love are never really lost to us. We feel them in so many special ways. Through friends they are always cared about, and dreams they left behind, in beauty that they added to our days. In words of wisdom we still carry with us, and memories that will never be gone. Those we love are never really lost to us, for everywhere their special love lives on. So now we're going to move to the flower pinning. Today and each day moving forward, we honor these precious lives and remember the pledge. We're going to remember, support, and act. And at this time, we invite anyone in attendance who has lost a loved one to traffic violence to please come forward and take a yellow flower and place it on a pair of shoes as a special way to remember your loved one. We have a staff member available, this is Sierra Bratton, to write down your loved one's name, and I will read each as we conclude our program today. Eloise, Carol, Celie, Ronnie, Bree, Ivan, Kara, and Lee. And now we conclude today's event, and I'll turn it over to Sierra.
Thank you everyone so much for being here today. My name is Sierra Bratton, and I work for the Charlotte Department of Transportation as the Vision Zero Community Coordinator. We'd like to invite everyone to come and view the display and remember the lives that were lost on our streets. We also have Sustain Charlotte, who will be leading a walking tour to view some of the safety features in the area that have been implemented. And we also have a resource table over to my right. For our media partners, please feel free to see me if you would like to do any one-on-one interviews. Again, thank you for being here, and this concludes our event. Thank you.